Can you hear me now? I think they can hear me now. Goodness. Let me just Can y'all hear me now? Sorry about this, y'all. This is getting ridiculous. I've been at it for a while now.
Go again?
Can you hear me now?
No,
Still nothing?
let's check. Yeah, I'm hearing you, and let me see. I'm hearing you, right, because I got both YouTube. This sounds, yeah, I think you've got something, yeah.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
they're saying they can hear me now.
Yes,
Now I
it's,
gotta
yeah,
figure out my
hearing you
sources.
now.
Now to turn my camera back on.
Yep, we're hearing you on the other end.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're hearing you on the YouTube end now.
All right, cool, cool. I'm gonna turn everything back on now. Okay, perfect. I just didn't want to look dumb on YouTube trying to find everything. Okay, so I do have someone on the Zoom call as well, everybody. So if y'all hear another voice, that's who that is. How do I say your name exactly?
CG is pronounced as a CEEGEE.
Perfect.
CG.
CG, how are you doing today?
I'm well, man. Good interacting with you in this space. I usually follow you on the YouTube channel, but I wasn't getting audio, so I thought I would jump into the Zoom.
All right, well, I
Not to
definitely,
lose the value that you're sharing tonight.
mm, well, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, so what I was actually saying when I was muted, it's ironic. I was just saying that the one thing I haven't figured out about life yet is this content creation thing. Like, I enjoy doing it. I think I have good topics, good ideas, good dialogue. But the general idea of scheduling it and mastering the tech behind it, especially when things go wrong like it just did, everything was technically perfect, but I had to reset everything just now. So it took a few minutes. But anyway, everybody, the today's topic is about health and wealth because it's something that I've been thinking about for a really long time, and it's something that I've been seeing people talk about and not really prioritize for a really long time. So, my general question to everybody is actually the title of this video: are you taking your health as seriously as you're taking your wealth? And I think this is up for a very big discussion, and I may or may not say some controversial things that people agree with, disagree with. It depends. But the purpose of this video is for everybody's betterment. So it's not to judge or say you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing this. It's actually reflecting a lot on my own life and things that I have done and things that I wish I've done differently in the past as well. So I'm glad all of y'all can hear me now. What's up? It's good to see you, man. Um, but yeah, it's something that I think we need to talk about because it's a big part of wealth building in general. So I'm gonna move my phone over here. By the way, if y'all are on Zoom, you don't have to be shy. I will see you, but YouTube won't see you. So if you do want to join the Zoom call, all the way at the top of the comments, like the third or fourth comment down, just go ahead and click that link for me. But before we get into the topic, I'm gonna jump into this disclaimer real quick. The show is for educational purposes only. I'm not a licensed advisor. Nothing I share should be considered financial advice, and always do your own due diligence. Also, none of this is healthcare advice either. I am not a licensed board member or anything like that. So before we get started, CG, do you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about in particular in today's video?
Actually, without knowing the topic that you're going to touch on tonight, um, I am even more curious to learn about your perspective on health and wealth, um, because I have my own thoughts. And if health is wealth, that's a view that I subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to hear your take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all ears.
Okay, well that's
I may have some questions as you progress,
yeah.
but I'm ready to absorb.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Also, for y'all in the chat room right now, let me know if you have any questions or anything that you would like to hear me talk about. I have a whole list right in front of me. I'm actually going to share my screen so y'all can see what I'm drawing on my iPad. So just give me a second. Where is it? Told y'all one day I'm going to figure this tech thing out. There we go. All right. Y'all should see that. It's literally just my iPad. But so you see this little map right here. It says health and wealth. So there's a lot of things. I'm going to scratch out food and actually put diet because that's exactly what it is. But so the reason this topic came up today was actually I had a morning call with my Wealth Journey Collective group, and we were reflecting on this year so far. I know it's October, but I think we should start looking into next year a little bit. I think we should start reflecting, as far as where we were last year compared to where we are right now. We were talking about money in Wealth Journey Collective, but I want to talk about health on YouTube because I think they go hand in hand. They always have and always will go hand in hand. But health wise, just a rhetorical question. You don't even have to answer it, but where were you last year, health wise, compared to this year? And you can ask yourself the same question about money because as we start to get prepared to go into the next year, because it will be here before we know it, we need to start thinking about what we're going to do differently so we're not adjusting after problems start. And that's a big disconnect that I've seen. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit just so y'all can see these a little better. But life is centered around all of these things you see here on the screen. There's obviously more, but when it comes to health and wealth, these are the main things. And at almost the center of everything is work. And that is where a lot of the excuses come from is work. So I'll give you an example of my own life. So when I first started working, it was work, work, work. It was, 60, 70, 80 plus hours per week. And it was just one of those things like, I guess that's just what it is. You got to do what you got to do. But I always made it a point, no matter how tired I was, I always made it a point to go to the gym prior to getting into the workforce, prior to having any real responsibility. I was heavy into going to the gym. I was big on strength training. And we all have our different reasons for why we do what we do. For example, we all work to make money. So I'm going to draw that down here because all these have reasons behind why we do them, but we have to find balances between them. And the reason I'm so heavily opinionated about a lot of this stuff is because I've seen things go south in the absolute worst way possible. So, back to my story, something that I used to do, I would go to work, go to work, go to work. I would be neglecting eating. Like I would just be, and you can go a long time without food, right? But I would just like forget about food. I would just be like work, work, work. I have this to do. I have that to do. I was constantly in a state of overwhelm. And the gym ended up being something that was kind of my outlet, something that helped me mentally and physically. And it, of course, continuously helped me become stronger. It helped me maintain my body mass. But the thing was, I was eating junk food. Whenever I was eating, it was complete crap. I'm talking hot dogs, burgers, fried chicken, the foods that you're stereotypically not supposed to eat. I was eating any and everything, milkshakes. You know what I'm saying? I would have a protein shake every now and then, but my point was I really wasn't prioritizing my health, and so I felt like crap all the time. And granted, working 80 plus hours a week will do that to you, but the difference between then and now, and this was years and years ago, this is like 8 years ago for reference for what I'm talking about. But the difference between then and now is I can work my full time job and then come back home and then work another 40 hours doing my own side business and not feel tired because, for one, I'm in control of it, but two, excuse me, I'm prioritizing my health. Because another thing I wasn't prioritizing, which I don't think is even up here, that's crazy. Let me put that up here. Sleep. Now, there's controversial thoughts as far as how long you should sleep and things like that, but I wasn't prioritizing my sleep. And a lot of the things that I wasn't doing health wise was because of work. I'm going to circle that. That's why I have a different color for it. So we work for money, right? So we can provide for ourselves, so we can provide for our family, so we can provide for people that we care about, whether it's sending money to your parents, whether it's buying whatever you want to buy, it's whether you're wanting to go on a trip, go on vacation. You need money for all that, but you also need money for things like healthcare. And I was out here eating like I had free healthcare. Now, granted, I have a really good metabolism. I've been chiseled up pretty much my whole life as far as muscle mass and body composition, but that's just pure genetics. But we need to talk about the inside and how our organs are working, because I guarantee every single person, if you're over the age of 25, every single person that is watching right now has had some sort of health scare in their lives. And it was probably, it could have ranged from being mild to tremendously scary. It could have been having to do with your liver, your heart, your lungs, some organ not working properly, maybe even your brain if you've been in a car accident, or if you've had memory issues, or any other thing. So when I say health is wealth, I'm specifically talking about quality of life, because obviously you can become very wealthy and not be healthy at all. But, I think when it comes to building wealth, you should prioritize feeling good and having a clear mind and having a stable mindset as well. And also being able to move around and actually feel good and actually be able to have a good night's sleep and actually be able to eat the right things and prioritize the right things. So that's why I drew out this whole map, because all of these coincide with each other. You need some form of income to be able to pay for things like fitness. You know what I'm saying? And be able to have, like, mental health doesn't just have to be therapy. It could be anything. It's not everybody is going to want, or frankly feel that they need to go to therapy. For example, I've never done therapy or anything like that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just something that I've never done, never really thought to do, never felt that I've needed it. But that's just like a personal opinion. But mental health could also be going to the gym. Mental health could be doing yoga. It could be meditation. It could be reading a book. It could be anything that kind of gets your mind off of the world and allows you to disconnect and be in your own little world, but also do things that are healthy for your brain. Like reading is very healthy for your brain. It makes you smarter. It makes a lot of different connections, neural pathway wise. Um, Going to yoga, doing breath work, different things. Hygiene. You don't necessarily need a whole lot of money to have hygiene, but that's extremely important. If that goes to the wayside, everything else does as well. People don't even want to talk to you at that point. Diet is probably the crux of this whole thing. What you eat determines a lot about you. It determines how you feel. And honestly, if you do research about different foods and how they affect the body, and I know this is a very different topic than what we're used to talking about here on YouTube, but I have a pretty expansive knowledge around fitness, diets, and things like that, and also why we do the things that we do. So I'm just kind of showing you full circle of this whole map and kind of why I put it together. But your diet is so important. And eating real food, I'm talking like fruits, meat, fish, you know what I'm saying, animal proteins, things like that. And these are obvious things that we don't think about, but how often are we, rushing to go to work, so we pick up a burger or something from McDonald's and fries, and how often are we eating fried foods, and how often are we eating, things that contain seed oils, things that are just not good for us, things that have a bunch of ingredients that we can't even pronounce, that have a ton of preservatives, things that bugs wouldn't even eat, you know what I mean? Like, we have to return back to the normal things that we know that we could and should be eating, instead of just kind of eating, going to default settings and just going out here and going to Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, KFC, Bojangles, Taco Bell. I know all about them. Burger King, Cookout if you're on the East Coast, all these different places. And I know I left out probably a bunch of them. Checkers, Jack in the Box. I know quite a bit about these things because I've been that guy, late to work, or not late to work, but like rushing to get to work, picking up something to eat real quick, and then you just feel like crap for the rest of the day. Like, sure, I may not have gained weight from it, I may not have lost my six pack, but at the same time, my brain was foggy. I wasn't really sleeping that well. And the way you eat also affects how you sleep and how you interact in life and how you think and just how you move in general. So changing your diet can have quite a bit. This is just like an overview, and then we'll get into some more specifics. Your physical health, your doctor, and things like that. All these things lead up to what I call your medical reports when you get your blood work back and you see something that looks concerning, or if everything is back clean. All these things in life end up going back to when you go to the doctor to visit and you get your blood work back. How does that blood work look? And then, of course, dental health as well. If we're just eating anything, dental health may not be great. And then, of course, everyday sleep. And another thing that represents your physical health, ironically, is your financial health, how you budget your money. Like, if you look at the things that you've spent your money on for the past 30 days, which I completely forgot to announce this to everybody who is watching. Sorry about that. If you're watching and you're interested, my app is finished. It's called WealthSync AI. It's a smart spreadsheet. It's built on top of Google Sheets where I programmed a lot of stuff behind the scenes where you can sync your bank account with Plaid and all these things. But basically, it'll give you a quick report of what you spent your money on for whichever time frame you choose, whether it's like last month, this month, next month, whenever next month comes. You know what I mean? You can't tell the future, but like next month when it comes, let's say you're 5 days into the month, you can pull a report from that current month. The reason I'm saying this, it actually coincides with this video pretty well. The app is going to let you know where your money's been going. And if you look at where your money's been going, if it's been going to things that are not serving your health, that is going to tell you you need to clean up some of your habits. You're going to know if you're spending a bunch of money on DoorDash or McDonald's or Burger King, you know what I mean, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, even some of the sub places, they're marketed as healthier foods, but the bread just straight up isn't good for you. If you look at the food pyramid, that thing was a scam. And if you look it up, it quite literally is kind of backwards if you really look at the food pyramid. Why should you prioritize grains over fruits and vegetables? Beyond me. But that's besides the point. The point is that is available. Well, it will be available soon. I'm still working on some back end stuff and sales pages and things. But if you want to do that, if you're interested in it, I do have a link in the description. That link in the description is a VIP wait list, and you will be the first to know whenever it is available for you to go ahead and pick up. That's just if you're interested. Otherwise, I'm not going to say anything else about it unless y'all specifically ask about it. But back to this. I've heard a lot of people say that, I'm in my 40s now, I'm older now, so I can't eat the things I used to be able to eat. But we have to ask the questions. Is it because you're 40 that you can't eat the things that you used to eat? Or um or is it things that you've eaten so much that, you've built up plaque and, you know what I'm saying, plaque around certain places that they shouldn't be going in your body. You know what I mean? You've heard about plaque being around arteries and different places in your bloodstream and things like that, and blocking arteries and things, blocking the nutrients that it's supposed to go to. I'm not a healthcare expert, so if I don't sound too smart right now, y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't want plaque to build up in your body in unnecessary areas. You don't want to get like fatty liver disease. You don't want to have blockages to your heart. That's how a lot of people end up getting heart failure and things like that. You don't want to do things that put your lungs in danger, like smoking. You don't want to do things that put your liver in danger, like drinking. These are obvious things that everybody obviously knows. But you do them little by little, day by day. Nothing happens, so you're like, I'm good. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. 20 years go by. Now you're in the hospital wondering what's wrong with you. You've always been healthy. What I'm saying is, if we look at these things now, if we see, okay, everybody I talk to that's 40s and up that lives in this specific area that likes to eat fried chicken every day, you know what I'm saying? And you're wondering why you have high blood pressure. My point is, if we look at balance over just eating anything that's convenient and ready for us, we will probably see a significantly less amount of health issues, which allows us to be there for ourselves, be there for our families, be there for our job, be there for our hobbies, be there for anything you want, relationships, be there for church, be there for anything you could imagine, entertainment, going to the football game. You don't want to be somewhere be in constant pain or to be constantly having to take medication because of the decisions. You know, a mentor of mine years ago used to always say, you're born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your decisions. That's what this whole thing is. Before I keep going on my tangent, I'm going to read some comments. I never noticed that. Bread is bread is at the bottom. Exactly. Bread is at the bottom, which means it's the foundation of the food pyramid, which means it's the first thing you should prioritize eating according to the food pyramid, and it is not. That's, people are eating a bunch of cereals. They're starting their day off with the cereals. You get what I'm saying? They're saying prioritize bread, prioritize all these other things. We should be prioritizing protein and vegetables and fruits and things like that and prioritizing real food. How much bread is even real food? Like, there's not a lot of bread out there on the market that doesn't have some sort of like lasting agent, preservatives, gums, weird things that they're just putting into all these foods, artificial stuff, enriched flour, which sounds good, but it's not good. And not to lecture anybody, but like I've just done an incredible amount of research on these things, and I've actually changed up my diet in my own life and felt so much better. But we're going to get into all these things. So the purpose of this video, it may seem a little scatterbrained at the moment just because I have a lot on my mind about this particular topic and I didn't draw out specifically notes that are in order for this. I just drew out this map and I was like, I'm just going to go with this because off of what I see on this map, this is going to kind of keep me going throughout the night. So we've probably all heard things, I can't eat things like I used to, got the high blood pressure, I got to look out for my heart. I got to make sure I don't develop diabetes. You've probably heard all these different things. I can't eat too much of that because it gives me this symptom. Like, we've all heard of these things. Stop feeding babies colored, sugar coated, large squares. I mean, exactly. Exactly. Like, we look at the food that we have. Let's look at America because it's not like this in every country. A lot of the stuff that we have here is banned in other countries. But if you really look at the cereal, you're thinking cereal is branded as a health food. It's good for your cholesterol. Look at Honey Nut Cheerios, right? Look at regular Cheerios. Look at Frosted Flakes. It's branded as like a food that athletes eat. Look at Wheaties, same thing. But when you really, I'm not going to get too deep into the rabbit hole, but a lot of the carbs that you eat break down into sugar in your bloodstream. And then on top of that, there's sugar that's actually added to those things. And it's creating a crisis of wealth gain and diabetes and all these other things that we're trying to avoid. And I love sugar probably more than anybody. I love my desserts, but I kind of temper myself with those things. Like, I know when to go in and out of them. Like, I know if I eat 80% good and then on the weekends or whatever day I decide to do a cheat day, I can eat whatever I want. But it's not like a competition of how much crap you can eat in one day. It's just like, oh, for one thing, like maybe for one meal or maybe for today I'll have dessert and I won't have dessert on these other days. It's just things like that. But how do you feel? We have to ask each other and ourselves, how do you feel? Because if you talk to a lot of people about this, they will tell you that they feel like absolute crap. They'll tell you they haven't slept more than 6, 7 hours in weeks. They will tell you that they have some sort of back pain. They will tell you that they're not as strong as they used to be. They're not as athletic as they used to be. They're not as mentally clear as they used to be. They're overworked. They're underpaid, the whole nine. And a lot of this stuff, I'm going to change colors for this one for dramatic effect. A lot of this stuff points to what? Work. That's what the red lines are for, work. And it's not work's fault because at one point you prayed for your job. You wanted to make the income that you're making right now. At one point, you only wished that somebody would give you a chance so you could prove yourself. So we can't blame the job. Jobs are demanding by nature, but as your salary goes up, they get even more demanding. I should know because I'm in a leadership role and have been since the start of my career. I know all about how demanding jobs can be. But I'm going to tell you something. where is your demand? And this is a rhetorical question, so I'm not saying that you don't have this, but you have to honestly look at yourself and say, where is my demand for my own health? I can meet the demand of my job. I can meet the demand of my loved ones. But can I meet my own demands when it comes to my own standards, when it comes to my own health? And that is the question that we ask ourselves that kind of fuels this whole video. Because I told you I was working stupid hours at work, 60, 70, 80, mostly 70 and 80 hours a week. But I still found a way to hit up the gym. And it was like therapeutic for me. It was like, I'm going to go in there and bench press 225 pounds and do 5x5s, and I was getting stronger. I was staying pretty much the same weight, but I was getting stronger, which I always thought was cool. Not weighing that much, but being able to bench like twice your body weight when you max out, things like that. But it wasn't just the benching, it was also squatting, it was also doing bicep curls, it was also doing, a little bit of cardio. And my point was with that, I was doing something for myself that was good for myself, getting the blood flowing, mind body connection going, had an outlet, and it gave me some sense of mental well being that I wasn't getting at work because I worked in a very chaotic and adversarial environment at that time. So even back then, I knew to get back to my roots, which at that time was working out at the gym. That was all I knew. But it goes further than just, lifting weights. Because why do we want to do fitness in the first place? Let's come down here. A lot of people get into fitness. Why? To look better, get in shape, to get stronger, right? Get a six pack, blah blah blah. The list goes on. You want to go, to the beach this summer. You want to show off your hard work, things like that. But it doesn't have to be a seasonal thing when we get into fitness. It can honestly be a year long and lifelong thing when you really think about it, because it really is just a lifestyle. Fitness is a lifestyle. So it doesn't just have to be lifting weights. It can be walking, it can be running. And something that a lot of people need to think about is this: what does it matter if you can bench 300 pounds, squat 550 pounds, right? But when you walk up the stairs, you get winded. You know what I mean? Like, what? Not being able to bench and squat that much is understandable because most people can't. But walking up a flight of stairs, you know what I'm saying? Running a mile, we have to think about if we're winded doing these things, okay, fine. A lot of people aren't super athletic and a lot of people don't exercise regularly, and that's part of the problem. Like, if we exercise more, we'll feel better. And why should we mix fitness with work? It's because saying that, making the excuse that, oh, I had work so I didn't work out, like you don't have days off, or like you don't have time before work that you can sacrifice before work to actually work out. And these are things that, I've seen people fall into that trap of, they'll say, I have a family, I don't have time. I have work, I don't have time. It doesn't take but a few minutes, 30 minutes to an hour of your day, like 4 days a week, 3 days a week, whenever you can. If it's one day a week, that's more than zero. And so when it comes to that, you feel a lot better. You feel a lot better when you're stronger. You feel a lot better um, when you're agile. You feel a lot better when you have some mobility about yourself. I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, my muscles are tight, or I don't have any mobility, I don't have any flexibility, I don't I don't have it like I used to. And when you hear these things, I think it's extremely important to be like, man, I need to reflect. I need to look at, how can I make sure this doesn't happen to me? I hear a lot of men especially talk about knee pain or just general hip mobility. What can I do now to correct that before it becomes a problem? You know what I mean? Hear a lot of complaints about blood pressure and heartburn and, dietary issues and feeling sluggish and, not feeling like a man anymore, testosterone dropping and things like that. And it's like, if you hear about these things when you're young, because I just turned 30, so I still consider that young. But if you hear about these things when you're young, what are you doing when you're older to make sure you combat those things so that they don't happen to you, so you can show up as the best version of yourself for your family? And another thing for fitness, it's not just to look better, be in shape. It's not just for aesthetic purposes. Also, I would think, to live longer, because there is a connection between how strong your legs are and how long you live, right? So it's not just that, but it's also being able to defend yourself. I've been into self defense since I was a kid. So Taekwondo for multiple years as a kid, as a teenager as well. But currently and for the past few years, I've been doing Muay Thai, and that's self defense. But it's also extreme cardio. And I'm not condoning violence, but as a man, and this channel is mainly for men, you have to be able to defend yourself. People are crazy. You never know what somebody's going to do. And yes, there's arguments for, well, I can just get weapons, blah blah blah. Yeah, but that's a completely different story. I'm talking about still knowing hand-to-hand combat, still knowing how to defend yourself. Being able to use the muscles that you spend time building in the gym would be very advantageous to you to learn how to do so. That's just my opinion, but just lifting weights isn't going to help you defend yourself. But that's another reason why people get into fitness, is to have like self-defense, or to look more intimidating, or whatever the case is. But looking intimidating and actually being intimidating are two completely different things. It's not to scare people off or to threaten anybody, but it's to be like, look, if something pops off, I'm good. I know how to defend myself. And, being able to do damage, being capable of damage as a man is extremely, extremely important, just in my humble opinion. That's just my thoughts about it, because as a man, you're supposed to do what? Protect and provide. So if you don't know how to fight, that there goes some of that protection. You might know how to defend yourself with weapons. That's great, but when those weapons are stripped from you for whatever reason, can you do any kind of hand-to-hand combat? Can you out cardio another person that's trying to attack you? Can you stay calm in those situations? And I know I'm going deep down into a rabbit hole. I told you this is a completely different video, and you really never know what I'm going to be talking about on this channel. I can talk about a lot of different topics. Today just happens to be about health and wealth, but one thing that preserves your health is your ability to defend yourself. It's your ability to work out and to build strength and to build cardio as well. Quake says, my current problem with self-defense is that it costs. And yes, it does cost, and that's a really good point. That's exactly why you have to build your wealth as you build your health. And as you build your wealth, you can make decisions like, okay, now that I'm making an extra $600 per month, I'm going to put 100 of that towards finding myself a good boxing gym, Muay Thai gym, jiu-jitsu, whatever the case is. I'm big on striking, so I always like striking gyms. But Quake says, I don't have the funds right now. I want to learn Muay Thai and some form of karate. I mean, yeah, but the thing is wanting to, and that's good. So for now, you could look at videos online. You can do a lot of things that are free that you can, start building a base on. Your form may not be perfect. You may not have a coach directly there with you, but that's something, right? So we can always do something about something. And then once you do build the funds to do those things, then you can start being like, you know what, my next investment in myself is going to be self-defense. And you see, it's already starting a positive conversation around, hey, I want to do this, but I don't have the funds right now. Okay, well, that's good. So a lot of the things that we should be doing are already hard to do. They already have barriers and boundaries around them. Why? Because they cost money. And that's kind of the purpose of this video, actually. Things around your mental health cost money. Things around your physical health cost money. So we have to make them work together. And that's why, we shouldn't spend all of our time working to the point where we're not prioritizing our health anymore, because guess what? Healthy food also costs money. Going to the doctor, even though your insurance might cover it, you still might have to pay out of pocket sometimes. That costs money. You might have to get imaging done. That costs money. You might have to pick up a prescription. You know what I mean? Humans are very complex. And so when we think about this whole picture, and and back to fitness, when we think about, the aesthetics of it, going to the gym, that usually doesn't cost much. But when you talk about going to a sauna, when you talk about, adding more amenities on top of things, when you talk about swimming regularly, when you talk about uh, mobility exercises, when you talk about things that most people don't really talk or think about when it comes to the fitness world, when it comes to, you know self defense, when it comes to stretching properly so you don't get injured while doing self defense, when it comes to any sort of sport whatsoever. Because fitness is also staying active, playing sports, whether it's, basketball, tennis, things that you may not have a team for that you can sign up for right now because you're 25 plus years old. But, what about sports that you can still interact with? And one of the sports that are year round and lifelong is always going to be martial arts, and they oftentimes challenge your cardio the most, and they get you into good habits like running for several miles, walking for several miles, jump roping, shadow boxing. I mean, I'm getting excited just talking about this stuff because these things genuinely can change the trajectory of how long you live. You know what I'm saying? And just to be transparent, before I get into some other stuff, I had a health scare, and it was back in 2022. I'll never forget it. It was right after my aunt passed away. She was one of the closest people to me in life. You know what I'm saying? In general, I think it would be very hard to come close to where her and I were as far as being close. But anyway, I had a ton of anxiety. I was having panic attacks. It was some wild, wild stuff. And I don't know that I've ever really shared that stuff on this channel before, but I worried so much and stressed out so much it literally made me sick. I had two bouts with pneumonia, and doctors didn't know what it was, and so I had it longer than I should have, and so it actually did damage to my lungs. And I was like, okay. And it's called, what is it called? Bronchiectasis. It's when, like, your lung doesn't clear mucus like it's supposed to. And the best remedy for that, from what the pulmonologist told me, was exercise. And I'm like, okay, so if I just stay physically active, I keep my airways clear, and I don't repeatedly keep getting pneumonia, because they suspected that I got pneumonia for the second time because the mucus didn't clear properly, and I was fairly inactive during that time just because of the simple fact that, well, I was sad and grieving my aunt, so I really didn't want to do anything. I missed. I didn't miss a lot of work. I took a lot of time off of work, I should say. That's the proper way to say it. And I spent a lot of time alone, just thinking. And the crazy thing is, your mind is very powerful. Your mind will literally make you sick. And so it got me into this zone where I was always just being physically active, and you know my cardio was trash when I first started Muay Thai, because I started Muay Thai about a year after I lost my aunt, like almost an exact year. But it's really good now, and I'm running circles around people who have been doing that for quite a while as far as cardio and as far as my gas tank. Let me read some of these comments. I'm currently in the gym. I'm just trying to cook at home and eat out less. And that's exactly right. That's what we need to do. As a whole, we need to eat out less. And that's another thing that can affect different organs in your body. Like, a lot of foods you eat can affect your lungs, it can affect your heart, it can affect your liver, it can affect your spleen, it can affect all kinds of organs. It definitely affects your brain. So I say all this to say, and I share that personal story with y'all to let y'all know the reality behind this is, we could just, like, say, oh, it is what it is. Health scares happen, health issues happen. We can accept things for what they are, or we can advocate for ourselves and be like, things are going to happen, but it's not going to be me. Even if I get some sort of, like, condition or whatever, I'm still going to have a good quality of life because I'm going to manage it properly. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that we have to, I think, wake up and have these conversations with ourselves about. We need to really think about, how am I eating? How am I sleeping? And these are very basic things that we don't have time for on the day to day because we're too busy thinking about work. We're too busy thinking about promotion. We're too busy, worried about what people think about us and how our relationship is going, and what's on TV, and what we're going to do for fun that night, and what we're going to do over the weekend, and how we're going to de-stress from the week, right? And those things are important, but we really need to prioritize our health over everything. So I tell people all the time, I don't drink, and I've made that very clear throughout my life. And people are always like, "Really? Did something happen?" No, nothing happened. I just don't drink because it's not good for you. Am I judging anybody who does drink? No, you can do whatever you want. But if you ask me if I drink, I'm going to say no, I don't. All I drink for the most part is water. Every now and then I will have a Diet Coke. I know it's not the best thing for you, but it's 0 calories and it's delicious. And I rarely, if ever, drink those anyway. But mostly I drink water, especially spring water. I don't just drink any kind of water. People say something about that, but the thing is, you have to be educated on these things. Did you know there's a difference between how your body is impacted by spring water versus the water that you buy at the store? Let me tell you about the water you buy at the store. So think about Dasani. Think about uh, I'm getting so detached from life. I'm forgetting the water brands. But think about, any purified water. That's nothing but glorified tap water that has just been filtered. It's clean, I'll give them that, but it doesn't do much for your hydration. Why? Because you take a few sips of it and you run into the bathroom. I could drink half of this, more than half, probably 70% of this, and not go to the bathroom. And here's why: it has trace minerals in it that allows your body to absorb the water, right? And when your body's absorbing the water, it's not running through you. A lot of people don't know that. But that is legit hydration right there. And you're actually supposed to drink quite a bit of water, but not the kind that just runs right through you, because that's going to affect your kidneys. So just these simple things that we don't really talk about, things that really aren't taught in schools like that, we should really be thinking about that. Before I continue, CG, do you have anything on what I've been saying, or any questions, or any general thoughts? Nothing? Okay. So, anyway, let me read the comments real quick. Quake says, I'm 32 and went through life without being peer pressured to smoke or drink. And I'm a hip hop head. The only rapper I know that doesn't smoke is Lupe. Yeah, Lupe. Shout out to Lupe Fiasco. That's a great point, too. Your health is not just like your body, it's also your brain. If you look at the impact that music has had, and again, I told y'all I may or may not talk about controversial things. These are controversial thoughts because not because they're bad, but it's because most people disagree with what I'm about to say, or they just refuse to hear the logic behind what I'm saying. But what I'm about to say is purely logical and not emotional. So I like hip hop as well. Growing up, I was not allowed to listen to it, so me and my brother had to sneak and listen to it. I'm talking Lil Wayne, Drake, Lupe Fiasco was one of them, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Nicki Minaj, all of those, all the popular rappers that you already know about. But when you really listen to the content of those songs, they lead they're catchy. I'll give you that. They're catchy. They're lyrically ingenious when it comes to some of those artists. But you listening to those types of songs, right, from a young age, tends to condition your brain to think about smoking and drinking and hookup culture and things like that. And then you grow up thinking that type of stuff is normal or even cool, and you might feel like you're the man because you're doing all these things. But they have consequences. They have big time consequences. Also, a lot of rap music talks about making a lot of money and blowing a lot of money, throwing it out of windows, throwing it up in strip clubs, going to strip clubs in general. You know what I'm saying? Spending copious amounts of money for things that you don't need, buying things like Bugattis and other investments that you otherwise wouldn't need. And here's a pop quiz for everybody. I say Bugatti very specifically because that's what a lot of rappers talk about, even though if you have a certain net worth, fine. get a Bugatti. But rappers do not have the cheese to be out here buying private jets and Bugattis. I'm telling you that right now. But pop quiz: how much does an oil change for a Bugatti cost? If somebody could look that up and let me know in the chat room, I would love to see it. I know the number, but I want to see if y'all know the number. It is a stupid amount of money. I will give y'all that. Um, yeah, but to your point, Quake, that's something that a lot of people don't think about, and it's a shame. So you have to be feeding your brain with the right things too. Like, it might sound boring to be like, you should be reading books and you should be listening to podcasts and you should be talking to like-minded people, but it's true, and it is very empowering to do those things, to listen to books, to read books, to talk to people who are like-minded. It's an electrifying feeling versus, you know excuse me, I've always said this: being in the car, and the whole time you're in the car, let's say you have an hour commute, whole time you're in the car, you're listening to music the whole time. I understand that music can be relaxing, but it can also be very distracting, and it can get your mind into things that you weren't otherwise thinking about. You know what I mean? It can get you into thinking of, like, especially if you're listening to a sad song, or if you're listening to a song about um, any hip hop song really. I have to listen to hip hop when I'm working out because it brings the animal out of me. But just as far as like driving to and from work, I've always said, or driving to and from anywhere and just listening to music, it's kind of a waste of your time. Because if you have things on your mind that you want to accomplish and things that you want to learn how to do, you could turn your vehicle into a classroom by simply putting a podcast on or putting on a good book. It could be fiction, it could be nonfiction. Obviously, the nonfiction is where you're going to learn stuff at, but I got a lot of my writing style because I did write a book called The Wealth Journey, but I got a lot of my writing style from how interestingly people who write fiction books write books. So fiction books can help your brain as well, but we have to feed ourselves things that give us ideas and good habits and knowing the right things. So we grow up listening to things like hip hop, right? And then we grow up eating things like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King because it's quick and convenient, and we think it's normal. We grow up drinking. A lot of people grow up drinking and smoking. A lot of people end up, doing drugs and things like that, and they think it's normal. They think it's cool. It gives them a sense of belonging. It gives them a sense of cope. It gives them a sense of escape. And I'm not judging anybody. Again, to each his own. Do what you want to do. What I'm saying for me is when I've told people, "Oh, I don't drink." Okay, that makes sense. But you still drink, right? I'm like, "No, no. I literally just said I do not drink. That means zero. That means no alcohol goes in my body. Zero. Absolutely zero. Not a beer, not no wine, not a shot of liquor, not even for joyous occasions. No champagne. That means anything alcohol, I do not drink. And I have to break it down to them like that because it's like they don't believe that I don't drink. And not to make this all about, should you drink, should you not drink. If you do, fine. Like I've never looked at anybody differently because they drink. Let me put it that way. But if you ask me why I don't drink, I'm going to give you a detailed answer because whenever I just leave it at I don't drink, did something happen? Are you traumatized about something? Did you have alcohol poisoning? Are you okay? Did you beat somebody? What did you do? Were you locked up? Did you get a DUI? No, 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 no. People really act up, though, when you say that you don't drink. People even act up when you don't smoke, and they smoke. Whether it's cigarettes, cigars, pipes, I've seen all of them. They can start calling you goody two shoes, but when you fill your brain with information, you just tend to know better. Just to be perfectly honest, like you just know better not to do certain things. Like if you listen to hip hop and you're like, man, I want to be like that one day. I want to be making millions and millions of dollars. But then you actually listen to or read a personal finance book that gives you the blueprint of how to become rich and how to make millions and how to sustain said millions. You start to build very different habits than what you hear on those hip hop songs. It's like we're moving backwards because we're listening to the things that are inhibiting us from getting to where we want to be in the first place. We're eating whatever, we're listening to whatever, so we're filling our brain and our bodies with the wrong things. And then we wonder why we're not as well spoken as we should be. We wonder why we don't get the promotions that we should be getting. We wonder why we don't have the skills that we should be having. It's because how many people do you know that are willing to drink mostly water, right? Avoid alcohol, eat real and clean foods, and I'm talking pasture raised eggs. I'm talking meat, fish, fruits, vegetables. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then you can throw rice in there. But how many people do you know that are going to do those things when they're in the car, actually turn their car into a classroom? How many people do you know that are just willingly going to do that? Or how many people do you know that if you told them that that's what you do, they would be like, why you do that? You're weird, or you're lame, or might even laugh in your face. Why are you doing that? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's just the culture that a lot of people were raised in and brought up in have told them that success looks different than what it really looks like. You know what I mean? Like a lot of our culture told us you have to go to school, get good grades, get a good job. How many people have followed that blueprint and are absolutely miserable? But when you talk about, oh, I want to start a business for myself, people are like, what makes you think you're not Mark Zuckerberg? You're not going, you know what I'm saying? Like people say things like that because they have been feeding their brains with the wrong information. So, not to go on a super big tangent, Quake, but I just wanted to kind of harp on your point about the hip hop thing. You know, things are entertaining, right? Netflix is entertaining, Spotify is entertaining, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu. The things that we watch, the things that we listen to, the things that we believe in, they kind of guide where our life is going to go. And we don't realize it until we're deep into everything. It's like, man, I'm 40 years old and I haven't even set up my 401k yet. That is a true thing that has actually happened, that I've seen happen in real life, where I was sitting across from a 40-year-old guy. I'm like, have you set your 401k up yet? No. Done been there for some years, ain't set up a 401k, ain't never had a 401k, never had a full-time job. And that was what kind of prompted us to have this conversation. I'm like, oh, so this is like your first like actual real job. He got into some trouble and stuff in the past. But great guy. And I'm just like, so have you set your 401k up? What's that? What do you mean, what's that? It's your retirement. They tell you about this in orientation. Oh, yeah, nah, I didn't do that. I wanted more money for myself. I'm like, you do realize that's how you retire, right? Oh, I need to set it up right now. And I proceeded to help, a 23-year-old and multiple other people learn how to set up their 401k at work. True story. True story. So I say all this because let's talk about your financial health. Because if you don't have financial health, you won't really have physical health, because healthcare won't have much for you when you're not making money and you don't have insurance to cover such things. The only thing you'd really have going for yourself would be sleep and having a simple diet, but you really need to focus on your financial health. And that is present, future. Paying off debt is good as well, but when I say present, future, I'm talking about savings and I'm talking about investing. Savings pertain to your current situation and your future situation, and investments pertain to exclusively the future. But a lot of us are afraid of investing. A lot of us don't want to invest because we feel like we're going to be wasting our money, which is crazy. Excuse me, because when you look at what you spent your money on for the last 30 days and you want to be a millionaire someday like all of us do, but not a dollar has went towards investments, but you've spent money on DoorDash and Nike and, you know what I'm saying, Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and shoes and different things that you definitely could go without. It puts it in perspective it puts it in perspective because we have not been listening to the right people. We have not been putting the right information into our brains. And I think if we ate the right foods, just a theory, I think if we ate the right foods, we'd have a lot more mental clarity and we would really think twice about some of the things that we do in life. So I want you all to just reflect, health wise, where were you last year compared to now? Because if I were to answer that question for myself, I'd be like, last year compared to now, my health was good. My health is still good now, but my cardio is better. I'm a better athlete. I'm stronger. I'm more physically capable. I can run faster and for longer. You know what I mean? My breath work is phenomenal. I'm a little congested right now, but I did just have a candle on not too long ago, which honestly isn't the best thing for the air, but that's why you don't supposed to have them on for that long. But you know what I mean? Like I'm hydrated, I'm more consistent with my diet. These are the things that you can look back and say. But compared to 2022, your boy thought like life was near end. You know what I mean? I thought my breathing was getting bad because I kept having pneumonia and I didn't know why it was wreaking havoc on my lungs. Like stuff that would normally be a piece of cake for me, I was running out of breath. I was getting lightheaded. I was sleeping all the time because I was so exhausted just from doing basic things. Health was way different in 2022, but I made it a priority. And I really looked at what I could do differently. And I started taking fruits and I got a juicer. Well, actually, my girlfriend got me a juicer. I've been, looking at recipes, cucumbers, apples, ginger, lemon, and a bunch of different things that are just really good for you that really help your body out. Things that are good for the lungs, things that are good for the general body, things that are good for general hydration and energy. And just looking into different foods and looking at how they interact with the body and how they affect the brain and how they affect hydration and how they affect different organs, it can be a rabbit hole. It can not be the most fun thing, but I find it so intriguing. Like, I guess I'm just naturally attracted to things that most people find boring. People find personal finance as a whole boring, but they know they need it, so they watch videos on it, so they read books about it, but they're not happy about it all the time. You know what I mean? But my thing is, who cares if some things are boring? School, in some cases, were boring, but everybody goes to, grade school and through high school and things like that. Mostly everybody, at least. In 2025, mostly everybody done graduated from high school. That's not always fun, but you have to do it. So, like, as an adult, sometimes you have to put your boots on the ground, so to speak, man up or woman up if you're a lady watching this channel. My audience is mostly men, though. But you have to man up and do what you have to do as a man to be better as a man and succeed in life. And sometimes you have to understand how taxes work and understand how personal finances work and how you should budget. And I did build an app just for that if you hate budgeting, because budgeting can suck. Budgeting has been my least favorite part, to be perfectly honest with you, about personal finances. And I will take that to the bank and run with it. But that's why I developed my app in the first place. Again, link in the description if you want VIP. If you want to be on the VIP wait list and be the first to know when it is available, it will be out within the next few days, if not by tonight. It really just depends on what all I get done. But I say all of this because we get overwhelmed with work to the point where we get stressed out. We don't prioritize our food. So stress and lack of a good diet is already a bad thing. It also leads to spending more money because eating out is notoriously more expensive than just cooking at home, like Quake was saying here on in the comments. But also, a lot of us aren't even going physically out to these places anymore, so we're taking less steps to get the desired outcome. We're literally taking less footsteps to, leave the door from your house, go into your car, and then drive, and then get out of your car and walk back. We're not even taking those steps because we're door dashing, we're Uber Eats, we're hitting up Uber Eats, we're hitting up DoorDash, and we're like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and have somebody do it for me. And it's very convenient. And I have fallen victim to this so many times, but I'm telling you, it's not good. Because for one, that's less physical activity on your part. Two, you have to pay the dasher, you have to pay the fees, and it's like probably 10 to 20% more to get the same items on DoorDash than it is to just go buy it in the store, and it might not feel like that much in the moment, but when you look at it over the course of a month, it adds all the way up. You're talking to a guy who has spent over $700 on DoorDash per month, like every month in the year of 2024. To be perfectly honest with you, my net worth was still going up because I was still prioritizing the right things, and that's kind of what I was just sharing. I have read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. My mindset knows the right things I should be doing, so I prioritize those things. I still have my vices, I still have my flaws, but my money still grows, and I've almost doubled my net worth from when I first hit six figures, which is crazy to think about. But I've almost doubled that net worth just by following the good habits. So you don't even have to be perfect. But when it comes to prioritizing your health, I've gotten myself to the point where now I literally second guess myself when I do even when I have like a scheduled cheat day. I'm like, should I really be eating this? And that's how you know you're going the right way, because your body, your gut, I should say, has a memory. And when you start training it to eat the right things, as soon as you throw a cheat meal in there, it just gets disrupted. You start having stomach issues, you don't feel as good, and that is a good thing. Whereas normally it wouldn't have done nothing to you, that means your body's working properly. A lot of us don't think about that, but I'm thinking I like to plan for 5 and 10 years ahead of time. I'm like, okay, I'm young now, I'm agile now, and I will be agile in the future. But if I'm going to reach that goal, I have to listen into the struggles that people that are the age that I'm going to be. What are they complaining about? They're complaining about back pain, high blood pressure. They're talking about pre-diabetes. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about, worried about their heart condition and things like that, or not their heart condition, but their condition of their heart, right? They're talking about, oh, I'm having headaches. A lot of headaches are due to dehydration. Medicine will mask the headache, but it won't stop the headache. Like whatever's going on is still going on. You just don't feel it. So a lot of headaches are due to lack of hydration and lack of salt. It's crazy, but you would be surprised at how drinking a little bit of water with a pinch of Himalayan pink salt will just make a headache go away like that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. Some people have headaches due to different reasons, and I acknowledge that. But for like 90% of headaches, how many of us are dehydrated because we drink coffee all the time and drink soda all the time and drink things that are not hydrating? You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm passionate about these things. I don't want this to come off as a lecture, but I just want y'all to understand how important this stuff is for your pockets. Like, if you're not, for example, mental health is part of health, right? Whoops, I did not mean to erase that. Mental health is part of health. If you're not mentally stable, if you're not mentally able to make good decisions, if you're mentally just worried about other things, you're going to be detached from reality when it comes to your job and when it comes to other areas of life where you must perform, and therefore it affects your pockets. So Husa moments are very good. Husa, what's that? Taking deep breaths, reflecting on life, meditating, writing down, journaling things. There's nothing wrong with writing down your thoughts and getting your thoughts on paper. Your mind is for ideas, right? But your ideas don't, they're not supposed to just live there indefinitely. You have your idea, you have your thought, you have things that are on your mind, whether it's ideas, whether it's experiences, whether it's things you regret, whether it's things that you want to achieve in life. You need to get them out on paper and in front of you. They're not supposed to be stuck there. Your mind generates the ideas. The container for your ideas are a piece of paper, or in my case, an iPad. I did not mean to rotate the screen like that, but y'all see what I'm saying? That's mental health. Everybody knows pretty much something I don't have to talk to people about is hygiene. People are usually on point with that. They know to brush their teeth and to put deodorant on and to take a shower, to put lotion on. That's the basics. But as basic as that is, diet is also basic. Going to the doctor is also basic. How many of us skip appointments going to the doctor? I know I have several times. And then I got paranoid. I was like, oh, what if something is wrong and I've gone this long without going? And you get yourself into a mental state of stress. Then when they check your blood pressure spiked because you're nervous about something that hasn't even happened. And another part of this is supplementation. So think about your vitamins. So vitamin D3. Think about magnesium glycinate. Those are two things that people are highly deficient in. When I went back to the doctor after not being there for so long, I was heavily deficient in vitamin D3, which made a lot of things make sense because your immune system relies a lot on vitamin D3. If you're deficient in that and you're stressed out and you're grieving, your immune system crashes, which welcomes different things and different infections that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. Pneumonia is not exactly common. And I have never had it in my entire life until I was like 26. I think I was 26 years old at the time. But I got it, and my immune system was pew all the way down. Vitamin D3 was all the way down. So my immune system wasn't doing what it normally would do, I should say, because I don't even really get sick ever. Like, I'm talking the last time I had been sick from when I was 26 was when I had food poisoning at like 18 years old. And that was like, beyond that, I hadn't been sick like at all, at least that I remember. So if I'm misquoting the past by any means, um, we're just going off of my general memory here. But my point, I really don't get sick ever. So the fact that I got that then, and then I got it again, I'm telling you, vitamins are extremely important. And I used to be told all the time, take your vitamins now. What they say, eat your vitamins, not eat your vitamins, take your vitamins now, or you'll be taking medication for the rest of your life later. And that's true. Vitamins prevent a lot of things, and they honestly make you feel a lot better. There's not a ton of vitamins everybody needs to be taking, and you can do your own research on this. But honestly, look into zinc, look into vitamin D3, and look into magnesium glycinate. If you don't sleep or feel that well relaxed at the end of the day, you're probably magnesium deficient. I'm not a doctor, but I tested that theory on myself, and it turned out to be true. So, and also vitamin D3 helps with your circadian rhythm. But a lot of people aren't getting sun these days because we work indoors, especially since COVID. I think vitamin D3 has really gone plummeted because people were outside less, socializing less. Socialization is also a very important part of health. If you didn't know, your lifetime is actually linked to how you're able to socialize and your socialization at all. Isolation is not good for you, is what I'm getting at. So you don't have to have a big social circle, but having family and friends that you can talk to and socialize with and be around and eat with and laugh with. And it's crazy. It's actually a proven scientific fact that when you eat with people that you like versus eating with people that you don't like, your body metabolizes the food differently. You can look that stuff up for yourself. I'm just telling you things that I've learned throughout the years, and some of which even throughout this year. But it's crazy how the body works. We ought to give it a little more attention because it didn't exactly come with the manual. We've had to discover these things as life has gone on, and thanks to technology and medicines and alternative medicine, even has been very impressive. So I just want everybody to kind of look at this video, look at this live as if it's something to kind of reset and just think, maybe you're a go, go, go type of person that is very deep in the weeds and very deep within work and very deep within just getting stuff done, but maybe you're neglecting your health and maybe you're not in the best shape that you should be in. Maybe you're not going to the gym and exercising as much as you should. Maybe you're not eating properly. Maybe you're just eating whatever is available and you got your nourishment, so you're good. Maybe you're not sleeping that well. Maybe you're not prioritizing your dental health, or maybe you're not even prioritizing your financial health. Maybe you're just constantly on a hamster wheel, going to work, buying whatever, eating whatever, doing whatever, excuse me, and then not having much left over. We have to find a way to zoom out in life and look at what am I doing good? And I'll stop sharing my screen now because that is pretty much what I wanted to talk about. But we have to look at what am I doing right now and what do I need to ease off of so I can put myself in a position to get ahead, whether it's in health or financially or both. And there's other areas of life, but there is nothing, and I mean nothing besides God. There is nothing more important than your health because your family, your friends, and yourself relies on it. Like if it's not, sorry, if it's not for your, if it wasn't for your health, you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't be able to watch this video. You wouldn't be able to speak with your loved ones. Without your health, nothing really means anything. Now, if you have something that you've worked for that you've been able to leave over for your family, like, a life insurance policy, investments, things like that, that's different. But they're still going to be suffering without you there. You know what I mean? So your health is not a game. It's something that should be prioritized. And we've all seen people throughout our lives who have done the same things, have done the bad habits, have been sedentary, have been eating whatever, drinking whatever, smoking whatever, joking, laughing, having fun, and I'm not going to live forever anyway, so I might as well. But you want to have a quality of life while you are here. So a lot of the things that I talked about today will give you a longer life. But even for those people who have really good genetics that live to like 96 years old, even though they smoke every single day, smoke a pack every day, drink every day, whatever, okay, there's one offs to everything. But even even if doing all these things kept you alive just as long as everyone else that were doing the bad habits, at least you feel better. You know what I mean? But it's also like scientifically proven that the things that I've been saying, and these are things that have been learned from the countries that have the longest living people on Earth and have the longest track record of having the longest living people on Earth. That's where a lot of this, whoops, that's where a lot of this research came from. It's not just random stuff that I'm spewing on the internet, right? It's honest to God truth, and it's also things that I've implemented in my own life. But I wanted to talk about health and wealth tonight. I hope this was helpful. I know I was a little bit all over the place, but again, I did not really plan this call. I just wanted to say my piece, speak my mind. This has been a topic that one of my Wealth Journey Collective members actually spoke to me about today. He was like, I want to hear you talk about health and wealth and fitness because you talked a little bit about how it's impacted your life, and it really has. It's made me more confident. It's made me more agile, more athletic. It's made me stronger. So, from a fitness perspective, if we're solely talking about fitness, that has done a lot by itself. But imagine when you couple good fitness with, self defense slash martial arts, when you couple that with good cardio and with a good diet, like you start to feel like you're invincible. And you start to feel like the man that you're supposed to be in this world. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully, this was helpful, and I hope you all got something out of it. CG, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything that you want to say before I sign off? CG, you there? While I wait for him, do y'all have any comments, any questions, any general thoughts? Did this add value to you? If not, it's okay. I can always redo this video at a later time and be more structured about it. I've been on a crunch, to be perfectly honest. I've been just coding my app and doing a lot of stuff. Oh, did you have something, CG? My bad. Did you have something? Okay. So, anyway, I've been doing a lot of coding, a lot of developing. I've been wearing many hats. A lot of businesses have a big team behind them. I'm a literal one man show. So the camera you see, the lighting you see, the software I'm using, the YouTube channel that I'm running, the thumbnails that you see. Well, sometimes I get the thumbnails from a third party, but like when you see me in the thumbnails, usually it's a picture that I've taken. It's a thing that I've edited. So I am the content creator. I am the title maker. I am the thumbnail maker. Most of the time, I do the audio. I do the video. I also have an actual business on the side where I host a social platform called Wealth Journey Collective, and the business of Wealth Journey Collective owns WealthSync AI, which is the app that I have been developing. So I've been the coder for the app. I've been the developer for the app. I've been the UI and UX person for the app. I have done everything. ChatGPT has also helped me out with like the scope and building the app and things like that. But like as far as people, it's just been me. When it comes to the marketing side, I've done the marketing, I've done the web page building, I've done all of it. So I've been spreading myself thin, putting in probably more hours than I have been at work on my business, including YouTube. And once this piece of the business is built fully and sent out to the public, I will be able to put more time into YouTube. But I say all this to say I haven't really figured out the content creation part yet. So I do plan on spending precisely 4 hours of day 4 hours per day, every single day, on making content and on getting better with my content, getting better with these lives, getting better with editing and all these things. Because I do my own editing too. I wear every hat there is when it comes to running this business, and I love doing it. It's very fulfilling. I have a coaching business as well that's within Wealth Journey Collective as well. My business is called Wealth Journey Collective, which is what I named the platform afterwards. But I also have Wealth Labs, which is my coaching service. So I have a service around that. I have a book. Like I'm the author. I did everything. You know what I'm saying? I formatted my book, edited my book, and I did outsource some things for that. But my point is, I'm wearing so many hats right now. I can't really see straight, and as a result, I've spread myself thin. And sometimes I do skip the lives for the betterment of the overall business. And then I just come up here and let y'all know, like, I apologize, but I had to do this, and this in order for me to be able to deliver on the date. So the official release date for WellSync AI will be the 31st of this month. My iPad, I just realized, has the wrong date up there. That's weird. But anyway, it will be the 31st this month, which is Halloween. Ironically, I did not mean to do that. It was supposed to have come out like October 3rd or something. It just didn't work out like that, which is fine. But for the people who sign up for the VIP wait list, you will be the moment it comes out. You'll be notified. I'm so congested right now. You'll be notified the moment it comes out, and it might be a few days before the 31st. It might be tonight. You really never know. So make sure you sign up for the VIP waitlist if you're interested in that. But that is all I have for tonight. CG, it's been real. I appreciate having you on the Zoom call. You were very helpful when I was having my technical difficulties. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you getting on. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to say before I sign off tonight?
Nothing but to agree with pretty much all that you shared tonight. It's actually in sync with my own thinking,
Mm.
even as I look at my own journey. So you pretty much affirmed my own um, my own personal finance wealth journey as it relates to my personal health. So thanks for sharing that perspective. I endorse all that you shared.
Awesome. Well, I definitely
Pretty much it.
appreciate that. It's something that needs to be talked about. A lot of the topics that I do cover on this channel, yes, there may be some content on YouTube about it, but I feel that a lot of stuff could go way more in depth, and I wanted to kind of hit on every little thing tonight. And maybe in the future I can touch one of these specifically, because I could really make a live on every single thing on that map that I was showing everybody. And I will share it again just real quick, just so everybody can see what I'm talking about. This map right here that's on the screen, I could genuinely make a separate live for every single topic on here, and I still wouldn't scratch the surface. So there's a lot to be talked about when it comes to this, but especially for the audience that I'm talking to, which is, young men, or young men is like a broad term, so between the ages of 18 to like 35 plus, really it's any age of man. But when you think about becoming a better man, and you think about being better with your personal finances, and just better in general, you have to prioritize your health. You cannot become the best man you can possibly be, or woman, if you're a woman watching this. You can't be the best man you can possibly be if you're not prioritizing your health, you're not prioritizing your wealth. You have to literally prioritize everything in life, your relationships, your spirituality, everything. But when it comes to personal finance specifically, those are the top two things you must be focused on. Like I said, besides God, God is number one, but the top other things, health and wealth, they must coincide. And sometimes you need a little bit more wealth to have the benefits of the health. You need a little more wealth to be able to buy the organic food, see the better doctors, get the better health care, get the better supplements, go to better gyms, drink better quality water. You have to have money to do those things, but you can always do little by little until you get to where you need to get to. And to that point about not being able to afford the martial arts slash self defense, I understand. I wasn't always in a position to be able to just, excuse me, do Muay Thai and do private lessons, and to do all the things and buy all the gear that comes with it, like the boxing gloves and the shin guards and the knee pads. I didn't always have those things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't always where I am today. Like, from the point where I started this channel, I wasn't even making six figures yet when I started this channel back in 2019. So even though I embarked on a journey to have a personal finance channel, I wasn't always financially where I wanted to be. But I kept talking about it. I kept educating. I kept telling people what I did know, right? I kept reading my books. I kept educating myself. I kept going into the field and actually learning these things and actually improving upon these things until I became a six-figure earner. And then my net worth ended up being six figures, and now I'm about to double that. And the name of the game is, I was telling my Wealth Journey Collective group earlier, is the quicker you're able to double your money, the quicker you will become a millionaire. And that is a rule of life. So if your money doubles every decade, you're going to take a while. But if it doubles every 4 years, every 2 years, now we're talking about something. And a lot of it coincides with just making the right decisions, listening to the right voices. We all have our people that we look up to, but you have to look at it this way. You might have a favorite athlete, you might have a favorite music artist, you might have a favorite actor, but are they going to help you get to where you want to be when it comes to wealth? Maybe just stick to entertainment for those lovely folks, but look at a different person completely when it comes to building wealth. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so that is my message for tonight. CG, I appreciate you getting on tonight, and yeah, call in again next time if you wanna talk again. But I'll do another video on Wednesday. Wednesday's video will be about budgeting, because we have to cover that topic on this channel. That's one thing that I haven't really talked about on live. But thank you for signing in. I'm about to go ahead and get off of Zoom.
Okay. All right. Take care.
All right, have a
Good
good
night,
one,
right?
CG.
Good.
Thank you. Um, yeah, YouTube, it's been real. I appreciate you all. I appreciate your patience too, because this video had me looking crazy at the beginning when everything was on mute. I was like, I thought I fixed this mess from the last time I went live, and I was going for like an hour, like no joke, a full hour, where I was just completely muted. But today I found out within like a few seconds, but everything was perfect until it wasn't. But I figured it out, and I know what to do going forward, and that's really all that matters. You learn from your mistakes and you keep going. Anyway, I hope y'all got something out of this video. I know it was a little different than usual, but I felt it was a topic that needed to be talked about, so I talked about it on my channel. That's what I did. So anyway, I appreciate all of you, ladies and gentlemen.